Okay, apparently we are live again, and let's have a look. See, yes, we are live. We are on YouTube.
Are we?
Yes.
What, we on YouTube?
Yes, we
Real
are.
life YouTube.
Yes, we are.
Really?
Sorry about the feedback there. I was just trying out. Yes. So, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Mr. Dan Leckie. Yeah, we've got you in the stream, buddy. We do seem to be having some audio issues. We can't hear you just yet.
1, 2. You can't hear me.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because before, when you were speaking, Dan, we could see your little avatar.
Yeah, I know.
It doesn't. Oh.
One, two, testing. 1, 2. Testing. Can you hear me?
Okay. No, it doesn't. That looks to be okay to me.
I'll go back to the audio.
Testing.
Is
1,
the
2.
speaker the right one?
Testing. 1, 2.
Oh,
Hi,
yes, we have you. Yes.
We are live.
Yay!
We have you.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys
Testing.
and girls, after a bit of a rough start, we have communications. Welcome, Dan.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes.
I can hear you loud and
cool.
clear now. We've got it sorted. Thank you for your patience, my friend. And,
We have liftoff.
We have liftoff. Welcome, everybody, to Spock the Week Live. This is our second attempt at doing this live because Mr. Cameron here decided to basically stream it to his own channel. So we were just basically speaking for the last 30 minutes on his YouTube channel.
Can I just come in there and say, in my own defence, I decided to leave everything to the last minute.
That's hardly a defence. What do you think, Dan?
I think it's a great defense.
Oh, you crawler. You absolute crawler. Well, so before we managed to get this thing up and running and working reasonably well, we were talking about Discovery Season 4, the whole thing about it coming off of Netflix and not being available and then being available and then actually being available the whole time. So I don't know if you got any of that when you were speaking to us before, Mr. Leckie. I don't know.
That's actually from off Netflix.
Yes, it's no. Well, the series is still on there. I think 1, 2, 3, and 4. I think is still on there, but the new series hasn't been streamed on it.
The new series season's available through Amazon.
Yeah, as I was pointing out, the new you can buy it on Amazon, you can buy it in iTunes, you can also buy it or rent it on Google Play / YouTube as well. So it's somewhat ironic that it's actually more widely available than when it was exclusive to Netflix.
Before we go any further, though, I just have to say, there's nobody on the spaces on Twitter at the moment. But I was just thinking if you could come back in on the. Were you able to come back in on the spaces on Twitter as well, Dan, or is that too much? Just as additional, because if we're speaking to you, the people on there, that if anybody does come in, they won't be able to hear you on there as well. It'll just.
Oh, right, okay. I think it was duplicating your audio for some reason, but see if you can you still hear me now?
I can still hear you.
Yeah, we can still hear you now.
I'm admiring JJ's ambition here, given the problems we've had just getting this to work.
Well,
so you go for it. You go for it.
Yeah, let's
you go for it, Ensign Tilly. You can do anything.
Ensign Tilly. Is that what you're going to call me now? Is that Ensign Tilly? Is that going to be my name?
Yeah, that's it.
Cool. Well, anyway, like I say, I mean, at the moment, like I say, the main focus is here on YouTube, ladies and gentlemen. So this is our first live, as you can probably tell. I don't think anybody's noticed it, you know.
No, nobody's noticed yet, but
Nobody's
Dan's noticed.
Dan's noticed.
Dan's
Yeah,
noticed.
yeah, Dan's noticed. And I have to keep reminding myself because we have our stream open on one screen, and we have the YouTube channel. Should anybody comment on another screen, and I keep looking down and go, "Yay! One person's watching," and then I have to remember that it's actually because he's got it on YouTube that he's saying that, you know. So basically, we have one viewer, and it is us.
Yeah, I've just tweeted about it, so we'll see if we can get two.
See if we get some insight. So, seeing as we have actually got you on here and we are chatting away, Dan. So, yes, what's your opinions on season 4? Have you seen much of season 4, or have you not seen any of it, or what's the script? I think
We've lost it.
we've lost him. We'll wait until he comes back.
I think Dan could just be formulating his answer on what he thinks of season 4 of Discovery.
I was going onto the Twitter space, but it was really difficult with audio being duplicated from yourselves. But yeah,
right.
bang up to date with every Star Trek.
No worries. So what's your thoughts on season 4 then, Dan?
Well, they're sort of like similar to season 3. I didn't think like the pacing was the best, like ideal. I thought with season 4 is like they seem to be taking it very gradually to give like establish any information about the DMA. I think.
So I mean, from what I've seen, I mean, I've not seen a lot of it, to be honest with you, because of all the things that have been going off and, like I say, my access to it. But I have seen, like I say, little things on Twitter and Facebook and various other outlets. I mean, what's your take on the new look for the Ferengis, for example?
Isn't that Strange New Worlds? Or is there Ferengi in season 4?
I think there's a Ferengi in season. I think
Is
there's a
that-
Ferengi in
right,
season
okay.
4. I mean, that's what they said in the tweet. But yeah, I mean, what do you reckon to the new look? I mean, do you think it's brilliant, or do you think they should have stuck with something closer to the original traditional look of the Ferengi?
Like I've got mixed opinions about it, basically. But yeah, you see, like the Ferengi. Well, looks like a Ferengi ambassador, whatever, at Federation headquarters. But going just by canon, you can't tell whether it's like a Ferengi or like a Ferengi with Klingon hybrid or what who he is. So yeah, it could be.
I just personally, I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, being a fan of prosthetic art and stuff like that, I do admire the work that goes into these prosthetics, etc. So I mean, it's brilliant. It looks good. But having watched and seen Ferengi and the very distinctive shape, and I know that was pretty much down to the fact that they actually did that thing around basically a bicycle helmet, or a hockey helmet or whatever it was they used. But it's, I mean, obviously that dictated the size of the head and the forehead on the Ferengi, but it looked, it looked for me a little bit sort of. You knew it was a Ferengi, but only you knew if it was a Ferengi if you actually watched enough Star Trek to know who the Ferengi are and Deep Space Nine and stuff like that. So I have mixed opinions as well on it. Am I a fan of the new look for it? No, I would have liked them to have, kept the oversized lobes and and a little bit more sort of uniformity to what it is. I mean, it looks like it's been chewed on by a dog. I just don't really like it, to be honest with you. I mean, I'm not against it, but if I had to pick, would I pick an original Ferengi or the new Ferengi? What would you say, Mr. Cameron?
Oh, yes, you're asking my opinion on the new Ferengi.
Of course, I'm asking
Oh,
your
right,
opinion on
okay.
the new. Wait till we get to the next bit. You're gonna have a few.
I've only seen the picture of him in that red uniform, and I thought it was okay actually. I didn't have much of a problem with the Ferengi makeup. I don't have an issue when they do update makeup, providing it's not excessive. Where I did have the problem was what they'd done with the Klingons, which was just a complete change and made no sense.
Speaking of the Klingons, has anybody seen them yet in season 4 of Discovery?
You asking me?
I'm asking anybody that's listening.
I've only watched the first 5 minutes of the first episode.
Oh, I mean,
they haven't appeared or been mentioned. So yeah, I had much the same response you, Gregor, like with the Klingons when they were like first introduced, and when they were like the pictures sort of leaked from the show before the show started airing, even which I thought like these like really don't look like Klingons. But then I went back to what is the most recent like chronological thing said about the Klingons is that they're going to be like dabbling in genetic engineering with their cranial reconstructions, with the affliction divergence two-part said at the end of that.
Yeah.
So I thought it makes sense, like historically, I guess.
I mean, it just sounds like another classic. Let's try and retrofit stuff on that Discovery and Kurtzman does. I mean, I think the fact in season 2 it is where they suddenly gave them hair and they tried to, step back from what they did, probably because they realised they had made a mistake. But yeah, I mean, in terms of no issues with the Ferengi, no real issues with the Ferengi. I think, makeup changes, technology changes, techniques changes. So provided that is just an update and not a complete redesign like they've done with the Klingons, I don't have much issue with what they do with any of the species. I actually thought the Andorians looked good.
Yeah, I'm sort of bugged by the Tallarite. I think that's too much of a redesign with the tusks and everything.
Yeah.
I think I've seen the pictures of the Tellarite and I was like, no, that's like somebody didn't get the brief. I mean, I understand that, I mean, like I say, like Gregor says, I mean, there's no real issue with, doing better prosthetics with better technology and better products, etc. But surely, I mean, I would prefer a more traditional look to some of the, I mean, like I say, I mean, I'm with you guys on the Andorian. I mean, I think if I had to say any of the alien species in Star Trek that have been redone or redesigned for Discovery, I think the Andorians is basically the most sympathetic to the original. I don't think the Klingons were too bad. I mean, not as bad as the ones in Into Darkness, for example.
Oh, I love that.
I didn't have a problem with the Klingons actually in the JJ film for the 2 minutes that they were in it. Yeah. I had a lot of other problems with the JJ film, but that wasn't one of them.
For Discovery season 1, I kept wishing, how like they were establishing like there's 24 great houses or whatever.
Yeah.
I kept wishing like one of them you'd see and it would be like identical, like a TOS Klingon. I thought that would be like so good, and it's such a missed opportunity, I think.
Yeah.
But maybe they might do that for Strange New Worlds. Who knows?
Because that's the thing. That's an interesting topic to bring up. Actually, and will they actually? Will anybody actually pay attention to the fact that at some point in Trek canon, the Klingons didn't have or lost their ridges for some reason or whatever? Now we all know that. I mean, that was just because it was the budget of the time. They didn't really have the.
I'm looking at you strangely here.
Strange New Worlds.
No, yes. That was all dealt with in Enterprise.
Right. I'm not going into the reason the why. I'm not going into the reasons the why or whatever. You know what I mean? I'm just saying, will they will there be some reference to it maybe, or
Well,
maybe some, I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying, will there be some
it was all dealt with in it.
Yes, I know that. I'm just
But
saying, will
it's
there
just-
be will it be brought?
even then, I'm thinking back to Worf saying they don't talk about it.
Yeah. Yes, that's it. I mean, that's their get out clause. Is that they don't talk about it.
Because let's be honest,
We do not talk about it. We do not like to talk about it.
But I'm just saying, in the sense of the timeline, is that
We do not like to talk about it.
But I mean, in the sense of the timeline of where where Discovery is in the time, or where Discovery was in the timeline, and where Strange New Worlds is going to be in the timeline of that,
Well, I don't see. The thing is, because Strange New Worlds will be taking place in the immediate aftermath of the Klingon War. So, again, going back to the original series in the canon, there wasn't much contact after the Klingon War until, was it Errand of Mercy, Dan? Or was it Errand of Mercy? Was the first time you see them.
By the way, we're doing well. We've gotten a retweet by Captain Kirk Dildo.
Oh,
we've made it.
Brilliant! I've always wanted to be dealt with by Captain Kirk Dildo. Always wanted to have a dealing with Captain Kirk Dildo. That's
you've got
had some interaction with Captain Kirk Dildo. Brilliant.
You have got issues, my friend.
So yeah. Love that. I'll have to thank Captain Kirk Dildo for their interaction.
Thank you for the retweet. So yeah, I mean, because obviously this is our first live stream, and people will probably come into this and watch this later on back from. I mean, I don't even know if it'll actually save to YouTube. I don't know if YouTube will save it or whether it'll just go off into the ether or what. I don't know, but we will be doing a lot more of these, and like I say, you're more than welcome at any point to come back and join us anytime you want, Dan. Because like I say, the more people we have on, the more people we have interacting, the more fun it is for us, and the more fun it is for you guys at home. But yeah, well, I mean, what's I'm just looking over Gregor's shoulder here and just making sure he's not doing anything.
I'm thanking Captain Kirk Dildo here.
Yeah, is that what you're doing? Why does it say OnlyFans on the top of your browser there? Then?
Don't worry about that. Don't worry about that. That's nothing.
Is this one of those we don't talk about Bruno things or something? It's like we don't talk about OnlyFans.
Yeah, we don't talk about OnlyFans. OnlyFans kicked me off last October, remember?
Yes.
Or was it August? I can't remember.
Was that the incident with the replicators?
It's just for fans now, apparently. I've heard.
But yeah, I mean, it's go on.
I did see a theory recently that was saying, like, spandex that's all used in like the Next Generation, and then Gene Roddenberry's future sort of includes like everyone on the Starfleet ships wearing spandex, and apparently, according to costume designer Bob Blackman, the spandex retains like the smelly sweat and stuff like that, so the theory was that of course, everyone in the starships would be like stinking because of the sweat. But then I thought, well, that's pretty good that's something Discovery's sort of explained away, because they've shown the uniforms are replicated.
I think Greg is wincing at the moment because he's like, I think that. I mean, to be fair, I think that is a very, very, very good way of looking at it, and I think I don't think that was intentional. To basically explain away the spandex situation. By the way, when you started talking about spandex in Star Trek, all I could think about was that scene in the holodeck with Deanna Troi and Beverly. We'll leave that one. We'll leave that one.
That's the scene. Is that there's Sub Rosa? They have the
Sub Rosa. Yeah.
Greatest episode of
purple and fuchsia
TNG's greatest ever episode.
If only for that scene.
No, the ghost going and the ghost boning scene is better.
Honestly, honestly,
Can it be a good?
I'm actually looking forward to getting our friend, the Great Merman, back on the show, because he honestly, you love winding him up with that ghost.
A good ghost boning.
Yeah, good ghost boning. If anybody wonders what we're talking about, if you go to our podcast page and go back to the episode where the Great Merman joined us, you'll find everything about that, and you'll understand where we're going from. So it's one of those things you have to go back and listen to it and get the context of what we're saying. But
you had to be there.
Oh yeah, you did have
and
to be there.
if you weren't there, you can go back and see just exactly where we were on that one.
But yeah, honestly, I mean, I think, like I say, I mean, there's a lot of things. Like I say, you said there about that could be why that's explained away and that. But there's a few things as well as like, hang on a minute, but this happened, but how did this not happen? And you know, I mean, one of my sort of big bugbears, and I think it's a bugbear for a lot of people, is the whole spore drive thing in Discovery. Yeah, I know. I went there. I did that deliberately. So I mean, it's like, yes, I know it's a load of tosh. It's
computer. Why is Star Trek Discovery so terrible?
The Star Trek Discovery so terrible. The closest I could find is Star Trek USS Discovery Starship Star Trek Discovery Starships Collection by Eagle Wars Collection.
Computer, shut up. Stop. It's not doing it.
She's got stage fright. I find it actually kind of hilarious that Greg has been doing this all for the last 2 weeks with me. Every time I've come up, he's spoken to Alexa and got her to say, why is Discovery so terrible? And she answers with a wonderful answer, I should say. And the first time he actually tries to do it in public to piss me off, it doesn't work. I love it. I mean, that was egg on the face right there. That's the beauty of live YouTube television, whatever you want to call it, folks.
So are you looking forward to Strange New Worlds, Dan?
Yes. Good segue off of the spore drive there,
yeah.
Mr. Cameron.
Well, you'll get me started on the spore drive.
No, don't worry, I intend to.
I thought the spore drive could have been like the backstory for the biomimetic gel packs in Voyager, but then obviously that turned out not to be, and they're actually classified. But yeah, I'm looking forward to Strange New Worlds. I think a lot of people are. It seems to be like most people are like either looking forward to that or like season 2 of Picard's.
Good. I mean, I'll get on to that, the Picard thing, in a minute. But the Strange New Worlds, for me, I'm looking forward to that because just simply because Anson Mount. I mean, that's it. Pure and simple, Anson Mount. I just loved the episodes of Discovery where he was in it. He plays Decker. Pike, sorry, not Decker. What I think, you know what it was? It's because I was speaking to. I was speaking to Dan Decker earlier on. That's why I've got that name.
Decker was the captain, or meant to be the captain in Star Trek: The Motionless Picture.
The Motionless Picture, yeah. Sorry, I do apologise. Yeah, I do apologise for that little faux pas there. It's, but yeah, I was speaking to the Commodore Dan Decker himself on Twitter not that long ago, so that's why I've got that in my head. But yeah, Captain Pike. I mean, Anson Mount, brilliant.
At least it wasn't Desmond Decker.
Yes, that is true.
You can get it if you really want.
Oh God.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to argue that the best thing about Discovery Season 2 by a country mile, and then some more, was Anson Mount's portrayal as Pike. But yeah, that was about all for Season 2 for me, at least.
I just like I say, I think I don't know, like I say, what it was like when like when Voyager came out, when TNG came out, when DS9 came out. But I think DS9 was concurrent with Voyager, was it not? Or
No, DS9 ran
was there an overlap?
overlapped with the last season of TNG. Then I think it had
Last
a few
2 seasons.
Last 2 seasons.
Then I think it had a wee bit of a gap before Voyager started in '95. But when Voyager was always going to be the big budget show, and Deep Space Nine was going to be the offshoot, if you like, of the Star Trek franchise. So,
and how that turned out to be the wrong way around.
Well, time has been much kinder to Deep Space Nine than it has been to Voyager. That's for sure.
Yeah, okay, I will give you that. I mean,
Mr. Tuvix, step into the transporter.
Justice for Tuvix.
Step into the transporter, Mr. Tuvix.
I think that should be a discussion, a whole show's discussion. We should have should he be been allowed to live? Was Janeway right to?
Well, the actor thinks so.
Oh, obviously the actor's going to think so. I mean, he thought he was in for a good gig there. It was like one episode. No, he lasted longer than each in Star Trek Picard.
He did. So did I. I actually survived getting past Egypt and Picard. I don't know how, but probably if it wasn't called Picard and didn't have Star Trek in the title, I probably would not have watched that till the end. I would have switched off.
Interesting. I was okay. I was okay with Picard. I was okay with Picard right up until the moment where they had space lilies.
It lost me on the Borg cube, which was going nowhere anyway. All the stuff on the Borg cube, but when Larissa started just killing them all and then spacing them, even though they can't survive in space, and 7 of 9 decided to plug back into the collective.
And
then that whole thing, which would have been an episode in itself, in the hands of better writers, took about 60 seconds and it was all done with. And you're like, there was a lot of interesting things could have been done there, not least of all, what was the consequence of 7 of 9 plugging herself back into the collective.
Just to go and whack it into a planet and it just sit there. And I know you've got things like inertial dampeners and stuff like that, with all this technology in Star Trek and that, but surely even with that, the fact that the damn thing survived in a cuboidic form when it went into the planet, I think was a little bit.
Well, it's the fact that they take these interesting things and then the last 30 seconds, it's typical of the style of writing that we get in Picard and Discovery in particular. And I'll give you another example, is where they decide to evacuate the Discovery and blow it up in season 2. So that's the big cliffhanger. They've decided that they're going to blow it up to destroy Control. They all leave the ship, and then you're waiting for the following week. So it gets to the following week on this big cliffhanger. They're on board the Enterprise. They fire a single torpedo. Oh my God, the shields are up. Oh, we'll have to go back on board. So you're expecting the ship to get blown up. They fire a single torpedo. Now, how many battles have we seen in Star Trek? Shields at 100%, shields at 75%. They don't bother firing a second torpedo because Control's raised the shields to protect itself. But Control's obviously thick as fuck because it didn't just mushroom itself out the fucking way in the first place to where they couldn't find it and they couldn't get back on board. So it's raised the shields to save itself. Then it lets them back on fucking board after it's tried to kill them. And that all happens before the credits for the next episode. Not much of a cliffhanger.
Daddy Gregor, is that what they call a plot hole?
That's not a plot hole. It's just like, what the fuck are you doing?
Roughly translated plot hole.
And I know what you mean, but I think you're both maybe more forgiving of Picard than I was, because I lost attention basically after the first 3 episodes. I was so looking forward to the series. It's finally going to be set on the planet, and then they head into space.
Yeah, well, I actually thought. I actually thought the first episode was okay, not great. Did enough to keep me interested for the second episode, which again wasn't great. Although when I look at it now, I actually think it's a pretty piss poor episode. And then another thing that we see is quite a lot is nonsense science. Now you're always going to get some nonsense science in Star Trek, but every piece of science just seems to be a nonsense science when they're scanning that room for history. And then the third episode, again, kept me interested. And then here's the first thing in terms of the story and the world building and the character building that, again, we see quite a lot in other Star Trek shows at the moment. You meet these two Romulans who surely have an integral part to play in the telling of the story, given that they're his servants and he saved them, and the whole thing was built around Romulan refugees. Would they not have been great, and the fact that they're ex-Tal Shiar, to take on the ship with Rios? But no, he fucks them off so they can pick some grapes. And you're like,
jail. Bad jail.
It's like, why did you introduce what was two reasonably good characters, which, knowing where the story went with the Romulan refugees, would have been a really good way of Picard or showing the viewer what the story was about. Instead, we get a stupid scene an episode later where Space Legolas chops some random Romulan's head off.
Thanks for reminding me about that. Yeah, it's like...
And you're just like, what? It's just another long list of what the fuck moments, and not in a good way.
A devout order of Romulan
space
nuns.
And then
all of us out of the blue, just because he just happened to be sort of adopted in a way, he's now an honorary member of the order. Yeah,
and again, the Tal Shiar weren't secret enough or bad enough for Kurtzman and his writing team, so they had to invent the shit Vash.
That's their Shad Vash for anybody wanting to
translate. It's the shit Vash. And it was just like utter nonsense. And then the scene that, obviously, I was, by the time we got to that scene that I've described with Seven, I was completely turned off. And then when that episode opened up with them all tearing their eyes out and bashing their heads with the rocks, I was like, oh, for Jesus Christ. Jesus, what are they doing? Yeah, so I don't actually have that kind of view of Picard.
I have a question regarding Picard on that one. I mean, was when they evacuated Romulus, or when they managed to get the people they did off of Romulus, etc. Did they happen to open up a camp in the Republic of Ireland by any chance?
Well, I know some people moan about it. That's not one of them.
Because honestly, I have never been so disconnected from a Star Trek species until that moment when they were scanning history, as you so adequately put it. And you just hear this Romulan Tal Shiar, ex-Tal Shiar Romulan go, cheeky feckers. Well, I mean, honestly, I get keep the accents, right? I get, right, it can be difficult to put on accents, etc., etc. But the only Romulan-esque character in that whole show for me was the guy who was doing the pep talk on the Borg cube, going, right, guys, listen, if you do this and you do that, the one I'm on about, the one that's standing on top of the mezzanine floor. I mean, he's the most Romulan-looking Romulan in the entire.
Yeah, but he was also. Well, I didn't think she was a great character, but she was the closest thing we got to what you would consider a Romulan as we know it, and that was Admiral Ono.
Oh no!
Admiral Ono.
Oh no, not early then. Jeez. Yeah, I mean, to be honest,
he was actually supposed to be half Vulcan and half Romulan.
Yeah.
It was. I mean, to be fair, I'll give you that, because the guy doing the pep talk on the mezzanine was the most Romulan-looking Romulan. As far as demeanor and general character goes, I would agree with you that the most Romulan character in, as in like demeanor, etc., would be Admiral O.
Well, it certainly wasn't. What was it, Narek?
Oh, God,
fucking hell, running the bath and the candles and the bath salts for fucking his girlfriend. Jesus Christ, that's not a Romulan thing to do.
Yeah. That's like Love Actually meets.
Oh, we have a secret name. What the fuck?
So you've got
Jesus.
you've got an Irish Romulan, you've got a British Romulan.
Wow.
Well, for the Romulans, I thought it was pretty cool and good that they were saying like the ones with the ridged heads are from a different part of the planet.
Hmm. It's probably a sort of wee nod to the Romulan Riemann thing, but that was quite a late. And I think the Riemans were quite a late introduction to.
Yeah.
I mean, I think to be
Trek
honest with you,
lore,
I mean,
yeah.
this goes back to what I was saying before about keeping some form of familiarity when sort of creating characters from different species. An example. I mean, because to be honest with you, I mean, if they haven't got ridges on the foreheads and pointy ears and shoulder pads out of the 1980s, then it's not a Romulan for me.
And I think it's similar to an explanation. I think that Michael Westmore said, I can't remember if it was about the Klingons or about the Trill, but they're supposed to be from a different part of their home world. And
Yeah,
one of the bits about Picard that frustrated me was like suddenly establishing 7 and 9 as being in the homosexual relationship right in the last episode, and I thought, like, couldn't they have had like character scenes like building up to that?
Well, this is the thing, because I don't think what was that dreadful character's name?
Jail.
Raffi. I mean, Raffi and Seven never spoke 2 words to each other the whole season.
Oh, and then by the end of the season, they were necking each other.
And it's.
And she's already had a relationship with Chakotay and stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm not one for saying.
Don't get me wrong. I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, I know, like I say, it's a good thing that these sort of things happen in television now, that they were sort of danced around in the past, and now people are doing, people are putting them into stories and whatnot. But it was so out of right field. It was
exactly.
It was like, even I was like, what? Where did that come from? I mean, what?
Well, it wasn't exactly.
I wouldn't have minded if they'd have spent a couple of episodes building up to it and sort of alluding to it, but just all of a sudden, just.
And people already say the same thing about like her and Chakotay, anyway. It was like right out of left field.
Seven and Chakotay was a dreadful relationship, but it was still more believable than Raffi and Seven.
I would agree.
And it was just awful. I mean, it was hard. I mean, the way they dealt, it was hardly Drummer and what's her face, Nagata.
Oh yeah, in The Expanse.
Yeah, which is totally believable.
But honestly, I tell you what. See The Expanse season 6. See the dynamic between. There's an episode in season 6 where the tension between Drummer and Nagata is just honestly, it's beautiful. It's really well done. But we're not here to talk about The Expanse. I mean, we might actually do an episode on some other series at some point. Maybe do a deep dive into some of the new Trek's contemporaries, if you will. So I think that'd be a good idea to sort of explore those avenues and give us a chance to talk about something that, no disrespect to Star Trek, but that we've actually really enjoyed watching. You know what I mean? And like I say, I mean, I enjoyed, and that's not to say I didn't enjoy it the first time, but here's the thing. This is the kicker for me. Some people hated it from the outset. I didn't like it from the outset. I mean, Gregor was an example. You'd got like an episode or 2 into Picard, and it was like
I neither Discovery nor Picard did I hate from the outset.
But you weren't really taken away from it. You didn't really like it, like love it, like
I wasn't expecting to love it. I thought, because you have to update the characters, you have to world build, because it was happening so many years after Nemesis and Picard had retired, so you have to allow that. And this is where story-wise and world building and character building, it's like when they dumped the Romulans in episode 3, it was an example of them taking the story somewhere only to not take the story to that place. And that's what I see quite a lot.
I mean,
with
the only thing for me, I mean, just as a sidebar, because it was just to go off what I was going to say, the only thing for me with that was consistent was what's her name, the scientist from Daystrom, Jurati. Yeah, I mean that was the only consistent thing for me throughout was the development of. I mean, you know, from basically being put on there deliberately as a agent of this Commodore Ono, and then sort of like going out and killing. Help me out here.
The guy that was a measure of a man.
See, this is the example. Bruce Maddox, yes.
Yeah, Maddox, yes.
So this is the point. Is I mean, Gregor could probably quote not like explicitly, but you could probably say about an episode of TNG or especially Deep Space Nine, and he could tell you who was in it, what characters were in it, and what happened. And this just proves a little bit of a point of like that nothing in the new shows really grabs you and makes it memorable. The fact that we can't even remember even a canon character like Bruce Maddox. I mean, I to be honest with you, I'm an idiot, so I mean, I've got an excuse. However, Gregor not remembering who it was, that just proves the point. That was it for me. I mean, the fact that was the only consistent story like that, and I think the whole Romulan robot relation, like Love Actually relationship that was going off. I mean, that was like, that to be honest with you, Dasha's story could have been, I think, better developed. I think.
I mean, but fair play to them.
They could have gone somewhere with that a little bit better.
But, I mean, in terms of the Romulan stuff, fair play to the current writers, because they watched the old episodes of TNG and they watched the Romulans with their disruptors and the Federation with their phasers, and I can't remember what the Klingon disruptors. They watched that and they went, "What we need is a fucking space ninja with a sword."
I mean, to be fair, I mean, there has been mention of it, maybe not in TV series, but I think it's made appearances in books or in references somewhere. I mean, you could probably confirm or deny this, Dan, that there is like these Romulan orders, if you like, sort of like secret orders and religious orders and stuff like that. And it kind of makes sense that people, like a species like the Vulcans and the Romulans, we know the Vulcans have their religious element to their culture. I would
say that.
So it makes sense that the Romulans would have it. I mean,
yeah, but I don't think the Vulcans are religious. What I think is they're spiritual.
Spiritual. Sorry. I'll take that. I'll take that on stand. Yeah, that's pretty much what I was getting at. Spiritualistic.
Although they've got in the culture, I suppose, to a certain extent, they've got the Red Angel. No.
Oh, Jesus.
Oh, God. You just no, don't even get him started on the Red Angel. I mean.
Oh, Jesus fucking hell. Outfit manufactured by Stark Industries.
Honestly, I mean, that thing, I mean, it was like when they were sort of like, who is this? My mum. It's my mum. No, it's not. It's
See, that's another example of what I'm talking about with the writing. The Red Angel, it's definitely you, Michael. Oh no, it's your mum. Oh no, it's definitely you. That's the sort of stuff that puts me off Discovery.
This is probably it pales in comparison to the spore driving in terms of scientific, tomfoolery. But my understanding of the theory of time travel is that there's a causality loops. And I mean, I don't obviously fully understand it, but would if it was Burnham being Burnham, would it not be like really fuck up the timeline or fuck up everything up if it was Burnham because she'd be coming back and interfering with her own timeline?
I don't know. I really don't know.
That whole thing. If you went back and killed your grandfather, would you actually have gone back and killed your grandfather? That old paradox. That's the one.
It's all wibbly wobbly, timey wimey, as you say in Doctor Who.
Yeah.
Wibbly wobbly, timey wimey,
They
yes.
didn't put as much thought into it as Kevin Feige did for the Infinity Saga. That's the bottom line.
I think if it actually had been Burnham's mother, then I would have sort of thought, okay, no, that actually, that actually makes a little bit more,
She's a space ninja now, I
But
believe.
that's what I was just about to get onto. But you know what? I think they must have picked up on the fact that everybody was expecting it to be Burnham's mother and a happy reunion and all that. And it wasn't. They were so disappointed. So what did they do? They made her a space ninja.
So all I'll say is it makes perfect sense to me.
Honestly,
Yeah.
I mean, this absolute.
This is not Dan Lakey from our universe. This is Dan Lakey from one of the universes that's in the TNG episode Parallels. That's
Well, after about the end of the third season, I was like, or no, was it the end of the second season? Anyway, before the fourth season, I was like, how did Burnham's mom possibly survive being sucked up into the sky without a spacesuit on? And then it's completely explained away in season 4. I'm like, that's cool continuity.
It's all magic. It's the power of math, people.
oh, for fuck's sake.
I'm just saying things to just see what his triggers are.
Newton's fourth law of thermodynamics. Newton didn't write any thermodynamic laws, and it certainly wasn't no good deed goes unpunished. Turning a fucking scientific law into a philosophical statement is not science. That is not the power of math, people.
See, that was one of my, in the early episodes of season 4, that was one of my gripes, is Stamets, every other sentence was saying, if my scientific calculations are correct, right, okay, we get, you don't have to keep saying my scientific calculations. We know what you're doing is scientific. We know what you're doing is mathematic. You just have to say, if my equations are correct.
But I think that goes back to what I was talking about earlier in like the just revealing and establishing so little about the dark matter normally at a time. It's like they could at least establish that his calculations are correct. Surely.
Well, yeah, I mean, but it was the whole. I mean, even to a layperson such as myself, it was the whole. It just felt a little bit patronising, that every other sentence it had to be emphasised that it was a scientific calculation, and I think that took away a little bit of the. If they just went, my calculations are correct, it would have flowed better. It was almost like the dialogue had to stop to say, right, guys, everybody at home, do you understand? Are you following that? This is what it is. Good, right? We'll continue. And like I say, I mean, that's not like a major criticism, as in like I'm saying it was the wrong thing to do. I'm just saying it just didn't sit well with me. I would have preferred it had it flowed a little bit better and not had that in it.
Well, I've got some major issues with the treatment of science in the new shows. Full stop, which I'm sure we'll review in other episodes.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I think this can of worms is definitely not going anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the power of math. No, it isn't, Sylvia. It's just not. Yes, looking at you, Sylvia Tilly.
Ladies and gentlemen, this will be our last and final live stream.
So, yeah, okay. So what we're discussing next week then?
I have no idea what we're going to discuss next week, but just a bit of housekeeping, ladies and gentlemen. If you're watching this and you completely disagree with anything Gregor Cameron may have said, please tweet him at CrabbitGinger on Twitter, and he will quite happily defend his position. In fact, he welcomes it. Yeah.
If you disagree with either of us.
Yes, basically, yeah. Just direct all your inquiries towards Mr. Cameron, and he will quite happily tell you where to transport.
I never block anyone. Ever. I've been blocked a few times, but I never block anyone.
But at the end of the, like I say, I mean, I said this, I think I said it on the previous attempt at doing the live stream earlier on this evening. At the end of the day, all opinions are valid. You know, at the end of the day, you know, if I mean, we disagreed with each other on a lot of things. A lot of things. But yet we can still sit next to each other and do a podcast and talk about it in a reasonable manner. He certainly shuts me down on numerous occasions when he completely, utterly disagrees. I mean, don't even get me started on the likes of Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos and God knows, you know, because I mean, that's just, I mean, that's a rant and a half.
Billionaires in space is not Star Trek. That's all I'm going to say on that one.
Well, I don't know. We've got about 10 minutes. You can maybe see what you can do in 10 minutes.
I don't think billionaires in space or millionaire space tourists is anything like what Gene Roddenberry envisioned when he created Star Trek. And I'm pretty sure Mr. Musk and Mr. Bezos and etc. are going to find out why NASA never went back to the moon after 50 years, because it's so expensive.
And the
And you don't
Chinese
get a
are
lot.
already there, and there's aliens
Yeah.
on the moon. And
Manned space flight. I may be a Star Trek fan, but
we're
manned.
whalers on the moon. I'm singing with a harpoon. Da, 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 da. I can't remember how it goes, but anyway, Futurama reference.
Right,
Regarding opinions and stuff like that, I've got a question for you, like, because we've obviously been talking about like Discovery, Picard, Strange New Worlds. I wondered if you watch and if you have an opinion on like the current animated shows like Lower Decks and or Prodigy.
Well, I'll open up on this one if you don't mind, Mr. Cameron. Now, Lower Decks, we've both seen Lower Decks, so that's why I'm going to go first on this one. I've only watched so far one episode of Prodigy. Okay. And one thing I will say on that first episode, and based on this first episode alone, is I think it has great potential. I think it's definitely in the right ballpark, and it's basically in one episode. I would say it started off better than the other shows have started off with. Pure and simply because you start off with a character, and you don't, for the whole episode, other than the title scenes, you do not get Star Trek shoved down your throat at every opportunity. You get a character introduction. Right? You get that character introduction, and I'd love to. I'm waiting to get a chance to see the rest of them because I think it's going to be brilliant. I hope that I have not proved wrong on that one. But on that first episode, I will say that I think they have hit the nail on the head, because they've not fallen into that trap of, well, this is a kids' show, but the parents are going to be watching it as well, because the parents have probably got them into the show and said, let's watch this. And they've not fallen into that trap in episode 1 of basically referencing Easter eggs of Star Trek at every opportunity. Now, that brings me nicely on to Lower Decks, which on a regular basis does throw Easter eggs out there, does reference original Trek, etc. However, personally, I don't think they do it in a bad way. I think they do it quite conservatively. I don't think it's overused. There are a couple of jokes that don't land, but overall, for the entire series of Lower Decks, the ones that don't land are majorly outweighed by the ones that do. And like I say, I think it's good as well, because even though it's animated by the same people that did, and you know, the people involved with Rick and Morty, etc., are involved with this. Other than the animation style, there isn't really too much of that brought over to it, which I was kind of like, are they going to make it like Rick and Morty, or is it just the animation? So overall, I think the Lower Decks is a brilliant show. Tongue in cheek, a bit of a laugh. There's some storylines in there which is good, some story arcs, But it's a good laugh, and it's a welcome comic relief from the attempt at serious Trek, which we have with Discovery and Picard. Mr. Cameron.
Haven't watched Prodigy, won't be watching Prodigy. It's a kid's show, so I have no interest in it.
I thought it would have been right down your intellectual level, but anyway, carry on.
Lower Decks is the best of all the Kurtzman Trek, but I find it tiresome. I'm the opposite of JJ. I think it does shove old Trek down your throat. I think 40 to 50 Easter eggs per episode gets too much. It means it's filling its 20 minutes or its 22-minute running time per episode, with the writers having to do very little writing. They just look back at old stuff and introduce that. So it lacks, for me, a certain amount of creativity. And ultimately, with both Prodigy and Lower Decks, I don't even know why Star Trek needs them. What Star Trek needs is to get back to where it was, which was the gold standard for science fiction shows on TV. And it's a long way from that at the moment.
What's your take on it, Dan?
Well, I'm enjoying Prodigy, but I would say Lower Decks is my least favourite of all the shows in Modern Trek.
Fair enough. Like I say, I enjoy Lower Decks. I mean, obviously, like I say, I mean, no spoilers if you can help it. But would you agree with my assessment of episode 1 of Prodigy, or is there anything you would like to add or maybe counter on that?
Yeah, I would agree with you. But I think the way that they're releasing the series, like the subsequent episodes have been like so piecemeal, because they've been like stopping for like half of the 4th season of Discovery, and it's like,
oh, don't get me started on that, but that's a different.
I keep thinking I can't wait till this show is finished so I can watch it all in a binge watch.
See, I think this is Star Trek is being led rather than doing the leading. They're looking at Marvel, they're looking at Star Wars, and we're getting very much a Marvelification or a Star Warsification of Star Trek. And what we need to remember is Star Trek was first, and now it's following these.
Technically first, but then even like the motion picture was influenced by Star Wars.
Yeah, and it wasn't the greatest of the films.
Yeah,
I don't see. I don't see shows like Game of Thrones. Oh, we need a kids show, and we need an animated show, and we need spin-offs and things like that. They just made Game of Thrones. They just made Breaking Bad. They just make Ozarks. And the audience for those shows should be the same audience for Star Trek.
I just don't want to see them go down the road that. And to be fair, no disrespect to the House of Mouse, because they have mastered the art of this. But I don't want to see them go down the road of basically creating shows to sell merchandise, to sell toys, to sell that, I think, to be honest with you, I think it's going to be more to sell a streaming channel more than anything else. I think
Star Trek's always had, going back to when the rerun started, a certain amount of merchandising, not to the level.
Spock's helmet with a red flashing light on it.
Yeah,
or the Idig.
But I would say the merchandising for Star Trek historically has been aimed at more adult collectors than an X-Wing fighter like I had when I was 10 years old, or a Star Wars figure when I was 10 years old, the cheap plastic ones. A lot of the figures that you got going back years, they were for display, the Star Trek ones, that is. And we're seeing them trying to capture that market now, and that's what Lower Decks and Prodigy and all this offshoot is. Concentrate on just getting a gold standard level science fiction show on the air at the moment, and stop throwing mud at a wall hoping some of it will stick.
I agree with that.
Well, any more final thoughts or points you guys would like to make before we start to wrap this up?
I would just like to say that standard of Scottish referees is shocking.
Is that because I have my Twitter open there and you happen to see a football thing on there? Yeah, well, we're not talking about that, so...
Oh, why not? Right, no, so what we're discussing next week?
Oh, I don't know. What do you want to discuss next week? What do you think we should discuss?
Well, shall we
next
make
week?
it a bit more structured next week?
I think we'll at least try and plan ahead for this one and get it streamed to the correct YouTube channel, sir.
Well, I needed your password,
You're
Sylvia.
You're a
Ensign
manager
Tilly.
on YouTube, so you can access it via that. You can create lives doing it through your own.
No, I can now, but we had to put your password in first.
No, you don't have to put my password in. Don't worry, folks. We're having a live argument live on YouTube. I'll discuss this with you later, sir.
You're sleeping in the car tonight.
Oh, are you joining me?
No.
No.
Right. Thank you for joining us, Dan. And where
Well,
can we
thank you.
find you, Dan? On social media.
On social media, Dan_Lackey on Twitter. The Scotch Tracker with Scotch Tracker without the on Twitter as well, and the Scotch Tracker on Facebook with a Facebook page and Facebook group, and Warp Factor Track. I'm like chief editor of website warpfactortrack.com, and we've got like social media sites for that as well on Twitter and Facebook page and Facebook group. But thanks very much for informing me. Thank you.
You're welcome.
We're gonna have to find a better way of doing the earphone thing.
Yeah, so I'll leave it with me. And where can we find you,
You can find me
Mr.
at
Smith?
Alba Android on Twitter, and that's pretty much where you can find it. You can also find me via the Spock the Week email. Not email. Spock the Week Twitter, which is at Spock Week. So you can respond to us on there, or you can respond to us individually. You can also go on to our Patreon or our Buy Me a Coffee pages. You can communicate with us on there as well. Mr. Cameron, if you, I just have a quick look at something here, just so I can give people the right information.
Okay.
Would you like to share with?
You can find me on Twitter at CrabbitGinger. It's on the screen if you're watching on YouTube. If you can't find me on Twitter, I'll be in the St Bernard's Bar drinking whiskey and ginger ale.
Oh yes, the St Bernard's Bar. Shout out to St Bernard's Bar.
Yeah, St Bernard's Bar, Rayburn Place, Edinburgh, Scotland.
So, what I was trying to look up is just we have gone back to Patreon as well as Buy Me a Coffee. So, if you are looking for to support the podcast or just our general debauchery on Twitter and our Facebook pages, you can go on to Patreon and become a member. And we now have an exclusive merch offer with our Patreon memberships. So for £3 a month, you will get an exclusive sticker. Whoa! Yes, I know, exciting. Really good. But if you're feeling generous and you want to go for £5 a month, you will get a mug with a Spot the Week logo on it. Only available to members of our Patreon page.
I've already got a mug. Yes?
Oh, just feel the love, feel the love. But at the end of the day, guys, what's most important is you come and listen to us, you come watch our YouTube videos, and you interact with us on Twitter. And of course, you interact with Dan, the Scotch Trekker, as well. I mean, he does exactly what we do as well, and he does a brilliant job of it. Better job than us, I must admit. But then again, it is our first one, so we'll get there.
We'll never forget our first time.
I know. I remember it like it was yesterday.
Yeah.
It still hurts.
We'll never forget the first time.
But yeah, so guys, like I say, by all means, just like I say, we just want people to come and interact with us, because that's where Gregor especially works well with it, works well with banter, a bit of back and forth, a bit of here and there, and he's, like I say, he enjoys that. So please do interact with us. We welcome it with open arms. So like I say, if you don't follow us already on YouTube, just subscribe and you will get notified. If you also click the bell as well to get notified of our live videos or any other videos that get put onto YouTube. Follow us on Twitter at SpockWeek. Follow me at Albandroid. Gregor at Crabbit Ginger. And like I say, we hope to see everybody next week, which is more or less the same time on Tuesdays. So it's Tuesdays will be a regular.
Not next Tuesday.
Not next Tuesday? Why not next Tuesday?
I'm unavailable next Tuesday.
Are you unavailable next Tuesday? You're doing this live, or you could have told me that before.
I just told you.
See what I've got to work with here, guys. Well, okay then. What day are you available?
Monday or Wednesday.
Okay, Monday or Wednesday. So Monday or Wednesday next week, folks.
And that's a definite Monday or Wednesday.
And if you're watching this post next week, that's today's date being the 18th of January 2022, just in case some alien race gets this.
Do you know, people are going to be watching this going, this is the longest sign-off in the history of signing off.
Oh, I'm just making up for your fuck up before we even start.
I'm going to go get myself a whiskey. Are you going to sign off?
Well, go on then, finish it up, Mr. Cameron. Finish it up, and we'll say ta-ra.
So I'd like to thank Dan for being our guest today. I'm Crabbit Ginger. This is my colleague JJ, and we'll be back Monday or Wednesday next week. In the meantime, live long and prosper.
Live long and prosper.
Live long and prosper.
And Dan is doing the.
Yes.
Even though you can't see him, he is doing that end the broadcast before I go on even longer.
Dash Bash way.